this is a, you can see how exceptions can be handled via using try-catch block. Now there are many scenarios where you will be having such kind of exceptions. Let's see a few one. Suppose if you are having a string s which is given as null, right? So you can call this as null pointer exception. Then number format exception. If you're going to parse any integer and that integer is not in the specified form, right? If it is other than somewhat integer. So let's take the same example, string s equal to, suppose I'm taking it as abc, right? And for passing I'll be taking it as integer. So integer dot parse int, I'll pass the string s, right? So this will give me number format exception. Remember this kind of camel case for every exceptions. Wherever you use your own exceptions or system defined exceptions, remember this camel case. Every word, first letter will be capital because these all are classes. So this is a naming convention to be followed for Java. So whenever you create your own exceptions also, you need to follow this naming conventions. Otherwise, it will be considering as a variable, constant, or a method. Regarding, yeah, one more array, that is array index out of bounds. If I have taken a variable as a, and we're trying to call the index 10th index, which are assigning a value something different as 50. So this will be considered as array index out of bounds. Array index out of bounds, right? So this is the exception name, array index out of bounds exception. So in such cases, there are you can say many exceptions provided by Java. If you are not aware of, you will be defined by the compiler. See, in this case, we were not aware of 50 by 0, whether it is, you can say, divide by 0, right? So this is a custom message provided by the JVM. But you can see here that it is a kind of arithmetic exception, right? It is showing you the entire fully qualified name of a package, java.lang.arithmetic exception. So this is the exception name to be handled, right? And these are some of the exceptions you can see. Now using a try catch block is very significant for using or handling the exceptions, because the rest of the code will not be executed unless and until you handle that exception, right? So if there are 10 different lines of code with 10 different business logics and you're having an exception at third block, right? So first two blocks will be executed because there wasn't any exception. But in the third block, if there's an exception, your fourth block onwards, none of the code will be executed. So you have to handle that exception first and then go for the next block of execution. Okay, so these three examples you can put up in this example by using try catch block, and try to see first by, you can say, not using this try and catch keywords, and then try to identify which kind of exception do you get in this line of code, and then you try to handle these exceptions. In the morning session, I was having a little bit problem with my laptop, so I didn't conduct the lecture. So that lecture will be, you can mark your attendance of today's morning 10:15 lecture. Okay, so we can have one more example that if I'm having multiple catches for one try block, right? If I'm having, uh, you can say multiple lines of code here, not for single line of exception. If I'm having multiple lines of code and those codes are having multiple exceptions, so those can also be handled. In this case, if I'm having this as data here, so I can go for another code here, as suppose for arrays, and we'll call array index. Okay, so this is my try block. And then we go for multiple catches. We'll see two different sub exceptions that which are falling under the main root of exception, and then under the subcategories also. So let it be here as arithmetic exception E. I'll give a message over here so that we can see which kind of error we are going to, which kind of block will be executed. I have one more catch. And we will also take the root, that is the exception. Okay, so in this case, we are having the hierarchy. Okay, let's save this and we'll execute it again. The main block is outside. You can see here, as in we have compiled, our output is giving us as the arithmetic exceptions occur here, which kind of error we are going to have here. So the points to remember while using multiple catches, that at a time only one exception can handle for one catch block. All catch blocks must be ordered from most specific to the most general. That is, for arithmetic exception must come before catch of exception, right? Because exception is the root one, right? So that exception will be considered first. If you have handled it already, no matter, you do not repeat those exceptions again. Yes, so in such case, you can use multiple catches with different names, different orders, and you can use multiple tries, right? If you're having this, or you can go for nested try also in such case, right? You can go for this nested try. It can be n number of, right? It will be executing from the innermost try to the outermost try, and accordingly you have to give the catch block. If you're going to use try over here, in this block itself catch has to be handled. So for the trailing try, the trailing catch must be there. Otherwise, go for finally block. If you do not want to go for catch, you can use finally block. For finally block, simply you can go in this way. If you're going to use try statement here, and the data equal to 50 by 0, and we are going to system.out.println, and if you're going to print over here as data, right? So if you're having a null pointer exception, even if you're having a catch which does not supports your kind of exception, right? Because this is arithmetic exception, and the trailing catch for this try what you have is the null pointer exception. So what you can do is, if it is, it's guaranteed that this try will this exception will not be handled in this catch block. So what you do is you go for finally block. Yeah, you can give any custom message here. Okay, in this way you can use try, catch, finally, right?